Hey guys, Max here, and I thought maybe I'll update my tier list that I have from. Wow, it's been 3 patches now. They've been updating this game like every 2 weeks. It's been really cool. And with every update, I feel like we get more and more balanced overall of all the classes. So it's been really fun. Currently, it is February the 21st, and we just had an update 2 days ago that updated how the game starts off. But other than that, it's pretty similar to last patch, and I played a lot of last patch on Pygmalion, so I thought I would give this an update pretty early into the patch. Maybe things will change, but I don't think so. I'll just go starting from. You know what? I think an easy start is getting rid of the bad. Wait, no, this is just bad, straight up bad. Okay, this is just to give context for this update, because anyone that played 2 patches ago was like, why is Balcony indeed down here? This is before Fixer Upper was popular. This is during when all the items had charge on them, and every time you leveled them up, they would increase the charge. So it was very much a charge meta when this was done. And the properties, like Fort, also had their charge mechanics of like every time you use an item, it would charge. So this is very different, you know. Um, okay, I did actually update this. So I used to have a bad eco tier, and I had a good eco tier. And I honestly think that every economy item on Pygmalion right now is good. Um, Obviously, it matters on the context of your run. Sometimes I have runs where I have too much money and I can't find a build to make me stronger. I just keep finding economy items, and that feels really frustrating. But I don't think that means that items individually are bad. It depends on the context. So I'm not going to order these this patch, but I think all the economy items are good or have their place. Even Sharktooth Necklace. I had like a loot build with Yo-Yo where I had Aura Bees. I've had it work, and it actually was pretty useful. And there's no other item that buffs your weapons every fight like that permanently to a lot of small items. So this, has its use cases. Let's start at the top then, or take everything out of bad tier for now. Meme tier, pretty self-explanatory. Boulder in here. Definitely can take some things out of here. Almost never use. This might be more of a me personally, but let me know if there's some items in here that you guys disagree with. I'm going to quickly clear and go through it and remove things that I think have changed. They did buff Slingshot, but I still never use this item. I think it's a lot better early on now. But instead of gaining ammo based on your small items, it gains ammo based on your toys, and there's not enough toys right now for Pygmalion. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. Okay, meh tier. Bob is disabled, so he's not going to be in this tier list. I miss him. I miss you, Bob. Gonjo's really good, but I'll sort these. I'll just take everything out of here that I don't think is meh tier. Bushel, definitely meh. They really nerfed this item. T-set, definitely meh. Pane glass. Now, properties are an interesting place. I don't think pane glass is good enough, but you would only use this versus PvE fights, because if you lose, it destroys it now, which is ridiculous. But they removed multiplication for properties. They removed deed, and they made balcony worse a lot as a single item, but they added more ways to scale up your property value, which I like. I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's definitely more interesting to make your property value go up instead of just multiplying it enough times to make it go infinite. I like property value and the identity that it has for Pygmalion as a merchant. I think it's really cool. Bandages, I'm just gonna put that in good value. Bows in good value. Kikiri, that's what I call this item. Definitely a meh item. Just scales too little. When heal builds were more popular with Bird, these items that scale based on your healing are a lot better. Maybe now with the new Obsidian enchantment, they might be stronger, but scaling by 40, I mean, just heal builds are not that good for Pygmalion, and they're a little bit hard to get set up right now, I feel like. And when you do have them, most of the time you're just gonna use weights, or because it goes off a lot, and you're just gonna play a loot build. That's like where heal is at right now. There's nothing that really beats that. If you're healing a lot, you much rather just have a weights there that procs a lot too. I think you definitely could make golf clubs work. We'll see. This is again early into the patch with the Obsidian enchantment, but this is mostly going off based off last patch, and they haven't made that many changes. So, um, flail. I'll go more into depth, but I'm just quickly doing a quick glance. Now, this is the only freeze item left for Pygmalion that can target any item. I don't know if that's a bug. It's interesting. It's also a toy, so you can put multicast on it. I'm going to put it in good value. I think it is one of the strongest freeze items if you can get it to work. But it's hard to get freeze items to work, of course. Succulents. Yeah, I'm just going to put this in meh tier. This is like back of meh. Flail. You could argue this is a good value item, but I just think compared to the bow, it's significantly worse. If you have items that scale, it's good because it's times 3. So if you put 5 damage on it, it's like you're putting 15 damage on it, you know? But it also has 6 seconds versus 8 seconds. The main issue is that you need something to make it work, and at that point, I'd rather have a yo-yo. I'd rather have caltrops if you can get it. I'd rather have a small item. I like flail for what it is, but the base damage on it is too low in my opinion. It's 5, 10, 15, and longbow, or it's something like that. I think it's like 5, 10, 20, 40 maybe. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the scaling is super low on it. Versus bow, it's like 20, 40, 80 or something. 20, 40, 60, 80. I think it goes up by 20 every time. This goes up by like 5, 10, and then maybe, I think it goes up by 5, 5, 10 or something. Oh well. Yeah, this is definitely meh. I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna put items that are a little bit more interesting down, and then I'll talk about them. Nothing's changed with this, nothing's changed with this, nothing's changed with this. This is the item that gives damage and shield based on your property value, and it doesn't count as a property, or it doesn't have any other context. I'm gonna put it in almost never use, honestly. Put keys down, just because I want to talk them a little bit. Put this down, it has a use now. The hat is useful now. Ores I use early on, and then I just get rid of them because they buff your weapon damage by like a tiny amount. I actually don't understand why it's so small. It's an 8-second weapon. It multicasts and it buffs your items by 4 damage or something. But it does it twice, so it's like 8. But okay, who cares? The numbers on this is way too small. I don't really understand. Okay, I think meh tier is fine for now. Going up to the good value tier. Put hammock down. I'll talk about it. Tent I'll put down. Marbles and matchbox I'll probably put back, but I just want to talk about them a little bit. Bees I'll put down. Lemonade I'll put down. Dog I'll put down. Put these two beside each other. I think most of the time you want to use them in conjunction, but that's not why I have them beside each other. Birdie I'll take down. I think the only small healing item I'm going to put in good value is bandages because it counts as a shield item. And that's about it. It's a small shield item and a healing item. So you can scale the shielding, you can heal. There's a lot of passives that scale shielding and healing, and it's based off casts. Like whenever you use a weapon, give your shielding items shield, and it procs bushel, and it's just a great item. You can scale it with Ganjo. It's super good. Okay, going over the core tier. Explaining the core tier, I think these are items that you can build around whenever you get them, either early on or later. Like if I find an Ice Club, I can try and make a build. I'll get to 10 wins because I have Ice Club. Without these items, like the other items are just supporting, really. Like you're not going to win normally of just freeze. It is possible. I had a build recently where I had Windmill, which is another core item I'm going to put up here, plus the Trap, and it would just go permanently freeze everything, and it was super cool because it still targets large items. I don't know if that's a bug. They said they want to freeze, like Snow Globe only freezes medium or small items. I don't know what they're thinking with that. But okay. Core item, Ice Globe I think is still strong. 1,000 damage as a base is super good. And at Diamond it charges by 6 seconds. And it has a good passive, but when you get half health, it permanently freezes an item. Really strong. I think it's great. Windmill, probably the best endgame loop item, but the issue with it, I'm just going to put out the end, is that it's Diamond only. So very rarely will you find it in a run where you need it. You're probably like going to lose before you find it. And when you're winning, you'll find it, and then you can make like a crazy run. It really is only to get from like 7 wins to 10 wins. Something like that. It's, I feel a little bit bad, but there's items like that, like Regal and Silk. Silk is different. Regal, you find it early on, hopefully, and it gets you to 7 wins normally. And then after that, it falls off unless you have shiny or you do some kind of fort multicast shenanigans. But it's pretty hard to make work past day 7, or past, maybe not past day 7, but like around that end game range. But it gets you to that end game range, so it's up here. Silk, I actually have the opposite problem. Even though they're very similar items, they're both items that when you sell stuff, they scale up. But silk, I tend to lose like day 1, 2, 3 with it. But later on, it gets really large, and I combo with spiky shield. I almost want to put spiky shield up in core because you need it for any shield build. But with crit chance, it doubles the shield, and then if this has crit, it doubles the damage from the doubled. Like it's a lot of multiplication, and multiplication is really good with big values in this game. Also, the new reworked fort, I'm gonna put reworked fort in good value. It gives a multicast to this, so it can cast twice, it can crit twice. It's absurd value, and it's a defensive item. And the timing is so beautiful. I love how this is 7 seconds and this is 8 seconds. Because when you pop shield, let's say this is 4 seconds, it gives you 1,000 shield, and this goes off at 8. They have 4 seconds to hit you and get your shield down so you do less damage. But if you get some cooldown reduction on spiky shield to reduce it down, so these are super similar, it's a cool combo. But if they have any slow, or you have a random haste, or they freeze one of your items, it can disrupt the timing and it ruins your combo. And I think that's really fun. Adds some counterplay, not really, but I think it's more interesting than just builds that have no conditionality to them. I'm gonna try not to eat too much, but my cereal is gonna get soggy, so let me go fast. Weights. Move down. This item used to be absurd. It used to have 2-second charge and it used to be 5 seconds, and it, yeah, that's it. Now it's 1 second charge and it's 6 seconds. Double nerf. Alongside, they also nerfed all the charge items, so I think it's a little bit too much. I think they nerf builds too much. They nerf them in like 3 different ways, which I don't like personally, because it just, like Bushel, for example, like I think they absolutely destroyed this item. And I'll talk more about it with Fixer Upper. I think they also nerfed this build in 3 different ways, and it's just too much. Why? I mean, I don't really understand. Yo-Yo is still the only charge item for Pygmalion that I know of that gains charge when you upgrade it. So it has an actual, there's a point to upgrading it. It's another thing I don't so much like, but I understand. They've reduced a lot of items' value for getting upgraded. And now the gap between the bronze version and the diamond version is pretty small. So it can feel kind of worthless to upgrade items a lot of the time. If like I have a matchbox, I don't care if it's bronze or diamond. It's like 3 burn difference. Either my build is looping enough to proc it, or it's nice, but it's not even worth the money, I think, realistically. So Yo-Yo is still good though. Diamond 4-second charge. Early on you have some scaling and it procs a lot. Great weapon. It does need help from other things, but it is something you can build around and get to 10 wins or 7. Or even early on, it has a great value. Super good item. I think I'll put it at top of core personally. I think loop items this patch are kind of back for Pygmalion because everything else was nerfed and a lot of stuff was like more balanced now. So they got really rocked and then everything else brought down. So I think the gap is pretty there. It's still hard to make a loop item or loops fully work to go infinite. But that's what they want. I think that's good. But early on, it's actually pretty good value to get some early on wins, even to 7. And if you don't find a good enchantment or other class items, you need most of the time items from a different class that have better charge. It still works. So I'll put it, I don't know where to put it. It's up here in core. The order doesn't matter too much. Spiky shield, you need it for any shield build. Even Fixer Upper when it was a thing. I think this item is just, if you have a shield build, you need a spiky shield most of the time, unless you have a poison enchantment or something. But for this stuff, I'm gonna put them up here. Caltrops, this I had it in S tier or core when charge was a thing because everyone was running a charge build, so this had a lot of value. But since they've also nerfed enchantments, it's harder to get like icy or something ridiculous on it or get what you want. I almost want to put it in meh tier because I've just been finding no success with it. At the time I find it, which is now near after day 5, it takes so much to be useful because it starts at 1 damage. I think the base damage is what makes it mech tier for me. I already need a build that makes it work. But when it does work, it still has a lot of losing matchups, it feels like. And it's hard to get enough damage on it, really. The ability is super interesting. It really, okay, it deserves to be up here, but me personally, I just don't find success with it anymore. So I'm going to put it in mech tier. I'm sure I completely understand if people think it's stronger or even a core item, if they can make it work consistently. I just haven't found that. Lion Cane, I think, is the best max HP weapon for Pygmalion. It has a really good passive when you level up, you gain HP, and it has a low cooldown of 6 seconds versus, or was it 8 seconds? Versus this, which has a 12-second cooldown. And it also does damage based on your max HP. And it takes us one less spot. I think Whammy Hammer is a lot worse than Lion Cane in most cases. Unless you have, I don't know, I just think it's a lot worse. It just takes too long end game. And max HP Pygmalion takes so much to set up. You need like a diamond belt. You need some way of max, like stacking up your HP enough to make a difference. And you have to survive early game by doing that also. It just takes so much to do it. It's fun when you hit it, but it seems so hard for me to hit it consistently. Or not even consistently. Like even when I do hit an early pawn shop, I have to find a diamond belt or a belt, and sometimes I just never find a belt, so I just can't do it. Yeah, windmill, god game, and I already talked about it. Phonograph can reduce a single item by 50%. This works in single item builds. It works on loot builds. This can work anywhere. Super good item. It's a little bit weird putting it in core because unlike the other items, it doesn't get you wins. But I think it's like amazing value. It's not the same tier as these value items. I mean, it's similar to Fort and Spices. Spices, I'm sure everyone knows what it does. It doubles your damage of your weakest weapon. Works really well with Spiky Shield. Works well with max HP builds. Works well with Crook builds. If you can fit it, maybe Crook. Okay, Crook build's a little bit of a stretch, but it's a really good effect when you can get it, which is rare. Whammy Hammer, I'm going to put at the end here because I don't think it's super good. Crook, you know what it does. It's a medium item that makes you do more damage based on how many medium items you have, so you just build a bunch of medium. Square Pig, as people call it. It's good. One of the best medium items, I think, is Atlil. If you put an enchantment on it, because it has a 1-second cooldown, so you start off the fight really strong. Maybe it's not the strongest like individual item, but it's just super consistent against the most builds. So if you're looking for consistent wins, I think with Crook or Square, Atlil's pretty good. It is pretty bad early on though. You need a lot of damage for it to work. I mean, early on, I think of it as just like a worse. Flail is better, Yo-Yo is better. It's actually hard for me to rate this one. It is good value when it works, but it requires quite a bit. So I'm gonna put it at the end here near Whammy Hammer. Belt, amazing value. I mean, it's a good value. It just doubles your HP at diamond tier, gives you 75% at gold tier. There's no other way to get that much HP. Normally on Pig, you have around 10k late in the game. This gives you another 10k. There's even if you had like a pawn shop the entire game, it doesn't give you that much unless you have like double value stuff. And if you do have a high pawn shop, this gives you even more. It's just the best HP item in the game. It's not even close. Gym, it's a good economy item. It can work as a damage item. It can do a lot of stuff. Or you can just buy it and buy weapons to gain max HP, and you can sell it for money. Pretty versatile. That's what I end up doing most of the time. But there's some fun builds you could do with Gym and Caltrops. It's just a little bit slow. But in this patch, where everything's kind of balanced, I definitely see. I think you're gonna see more Gyms. Hopefully, it's a cool item. Pawn Shop similar, except it's more of an economy item. It has less use because either you play HP, but you need a belt and other stuff for that, or you just sell it. It's every time you sell something, it gains 1 gold, and it counts as a property, and it's fine. It can be a high value property to multiply onto other things. But I'm gonna put it on the end here with Whammy. I think most of the time it's just an economy item for me. I rarely get the HP builds to pop off. Like I normally already have a good build, and it's just you have to commit to the HP build, and it takes up so much space in your inventory to keep these items. Also, I don't know. Maybe if I'm playing Square Pig or something, then I'll have a lot of inventory space and it doesn't matter. But if I'm playing like something like Silk or I have a Regal, I want to be buying and selling stuff. Feels pretty bad. Or a dog. Bow, super good early on, and it falls off, but it's good value. I'll put it under. I don't know. It's about the same as freeze. It's good early on, falls off. Freeze is really good late. Pretty useless early on. And these are all good value. I'm not going to talk too much about them. It's not that interesting. Meh, I think is fine. Almost never use. Meme. I guess I could put the hammer higher, but it really is a meme item. I'm just going to put this in bad tier. I'm going to put monocle in bad tier. There's a difference between meme items. I think you can make them work, but you have to like force them. And these are just straight up bad and need reworks. Yeah, this is like, it has a use, but it's just a meme how bad it is. Okay, there we go. I think Fixer Upper is now a meme item. I think they again, so for Fixer Upper, they nerfed this item. They made it require 50 gold to upgrade instead of end of day, so you can't even use that as an economy item, is what I mainly used it for. I'll just buy it and keep it, and I'll make some money eventually. Or I could use it, and it would be okay early on. Now you can't even upgrade it early on, so it's only a late game item. Because you need to spend like an absurd amount of gold to upgrade it. And I don't know, they also nerfed this item, which is actually a really good eco now, but it doesn't double property value anymore. And they nerfed Balcony, cooldown reduction from 30% to 15. They cut all of it in half. I think it went from 10% to 5%. Went 5, 10, 15 now instead of 10, 20, 30 or something before. I don't remember. But put it in almost never use now. It still doubles property value, but I don't know. I'll put it in meh, but it might be worse. If there's any property builds at all that require value, you'll still be using it. Just yeah, you still okay. Bootstraps. It's a great eco item. I'm gonna put it in good value. This is like the Exodia of Pygmalion. If you put an enchantment on this, any item it upgrades gets that enchantment, so you can just get like a full board of enchantments, and it's pretty silly. But it pretty unlikely. You have to find it, you have to upgrade it, you have to enchant it, and you have to survive while investing everything into an item that's not even on your board. So yeah, it's like a win more kind of item, which I don't really like, but it's nice to have some of them in the game. Hogwash. I'm gonna put this in meh. I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I don't think healing is super good right now, and I think its effect is too small to matter. ATM is good value as an economy item, and it's a 3-second shield property item. This works really well with Snow Globe. It works really well with passives that increase your item's damage and shielding for when you use a property. It's just like almost an always buy to increase your income early on, and then you could also use it. And every time if you have one and you buy an upgrade, it also gives you that extra income. So you get the +1 and you get the +2 if you go from bronze to silver. So super good item. Doesn't win a run, but I don't want to put it in economy tier because it does have an actual use. Unlike all these items, you're just using for the money. Really, you're not like. I mean, this is technically also a good item early on. It's just a 4-second cooldown weapon, but I'm not gonna talk about it too much. Lemonade stand, I'll put it up here with golf club and weights. Like they're not terrible, but it's pretty whatever. You can still get the burning enchantment on it technically, but it's so hard to do. Just with the new enchantment changes that, yeah, it's okay. It's a worse gym in my eyes, and it's fine as like a +1 to already good build. If I have like a silk build and I find lemonade, I said okay, I'll keep it for a bit. I'll get some extra HP and then I'll sell it when I need space. Dog, I just can't. Like dog feels like such a worse version of Regal Blade to me. I've seen dog builds work, but it scales by such a small number. It scales by less than Silk, and I lose with Silk early on. Unlike Silk has a 6 I can cooldown, I guess, but I just don't. I can't say Dog is better than Caltrops or Weights. It definitely is better than Golf Clubs, but I think it's meh. I think the numbers are too small on it to matter. And I think they should redesign it because I also don't really like these items that you just can only find early on. And if you don't find them early on, they're pretty useless. I like having some of them on Pygmalion because he's a merchant characters, so it's nice to have items that benefit from you selling and buying. But there should be more. My solution is just having the diamond tiers be more effective and higher scaling. Um, or there being more events where you can buy and sell later in the game, and you can kind of scale your economy in a more interesting way. Because right now, past like a certain like past like day 3 or 2, even like whatever you're gonna find, those merchants are gonna be the same, and you're always gonna be able to spend the same amount of money. Or you're always going to be able to not spend the same amount of money, but buy the same amount of items and sell the same amount of items. That doesn't scale throughout the game, so it feels pretty bad late game investing in an economy. You might as well just spend it early. Okay, stopwatch. I made one good build of stopwatch. Okay, stopwatch plus ice club is this 10-second timer. I'm gonna move it. It's not a core item, but this combo is the only reason why stopwatch is any good. It freezes all items for 1 second, and it makes Ice Club go off like 8 times. So they have 10 seconds to kill you, or else your stopwatch goes off, freezes like 7 items, hopefully, and then it just goes pop, 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 pop. And you can use Piggles to charge it. You can put cooldown reduction on it. You can put Phonograph. If you have a Radiant Ice Club, it's over. It's super uninteractive, and it's pretty funny. But outside of that interaction with Ice Club, it has no use. There's some other funny items that when you freeze, they get buffed, but none of them are good enough to, care about. So I don't know where to put Stopwatch. Stopwatch plus Ice Club is core, and that's it. I think just because I have Ice Club as a core item, I'll put it up here, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to. It is I almost never use it, but I almost never use Windmill because I almost never find it. That's the same kind of, and same with spices. I don't know how to rate this one, but okay, I'm gonna put it up here. Just context. It's only with Ice Club. Okay. Speaking of items that got nerfed too much, this is definitely one of them. This item, I don't. Even when I say I think freeze is super good, I think the large item that charges for 1 second and has an 8 second cooldown and doesn't count as a property is terrible. And Pygmalion has no vehicle synergy, so this item is just super out of place. And I think they can leave it until he gets more items, hopefully, or more vehicle synergy one day. Or they should just make it charge again. Like, why is it charging for 1 second? That's so bad. At diamond tier, I don't know. It's when you could get only if you when you only needed like 4 items to go for like a infinite loop, it was good. But now you need like almost most of your board to create a loop. So it's super hard to use a large item that just leeches off a loop basically. Doesn't really help. It's okay. It doesn't really I don't have it doesn't have a place in my eyes. It's the same thing as drum where it's just completely useless. These are at least funny to try and make work, but at least the boulder mainly. Okay, put the signs over here too. The signs, I don't know, they shouldn't be in the same tier. Okay, meme tier. I think I'm gonna reserve for items that I feel like are bad on purpose. But the sign. Okay, one of them gives regen. I don't know which one it is. I think it's the closed sign. The closed sign regen, is it that bad? It's pretty useless. Having 100 regen or whatever does not matter. Okay, no, never mind. These are going in meme tier. I think Fixer got nerfed too much. I think you could do a build with it, so I'll put it. I'm gonna go ahead and call out that this is a meme tier item now. Just the triple nerf on balcony deed and itself. Too much. I don't like that balancing kind of direction. I honestly didn't think Fixer was that strong last patch. I just thought it was easy to use. That was the main appeal of it, and I think as people got better, it would be like because you never saw Fixer Upper get 10 wins in a row. They're always on day like 12, 13, 14. Maybe they get lucky with some enchantments. Not always, but most of the time, they're not winning early on. So any nerfs to the build, they're just gonna die before it's any good. Yeah. It was a little bit boring how easy you could force it, and it was simple to play. I didn't like it. That's why I didn't play it. I found it boring, but I understand the nerfs. It's just too much. They nerfed it like it was drill or something, or railgun. And railgun got like one nerf, and it's still a good item. It's fine, but that's how you should nerf things. You shouldn't just destroy them, I feel like. But here we are. Money tree. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in bad tier. The amount it scales by is too small at diamond, and the effect is like pretty useless. I feel like getting a coin when you level up. I've had runs where I have a lot of coins and I have silk and I have a money tree and I just get rid of the money tree because it doesn't matter how much it scales by. Theoretically, there's ever like an overcharge item. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in almost never use or even meme tier, but theoretically, there should be a build that makes use of it if there was some kind of value to healing, or if you could enchant it. If you get a really big money tree, because it does scale by a lot, it's only coins though. I wish it was small items. I mean, I get the flavor, but then it should at least give you more coins or something. Like at the start of the day, at diamond tier, fill your inventory of coins or something cool like that would be nice. But it seems they don't want diamond items to be too interesting, which is a fine direction for the game. It's understandable. Uh, Small healing item. It's meh. It has its use. The multicast got nerfed on it. I wish I had a higher cooldown and it got the multicast back. That's all I'm gonna say. I had a cool build when Bob was in the game with this, but the issue with the keys is that they're a 12-second cooldown, and there's no property that is that long of a cooldown. It's not really worth using. It's a small item, but most of the time, if your property goes off, you've probably already won because it's just this large value item, or your build sucks, and this is not going to save it. So there's not much space. The properties are not good enough for. There's items like this where they just kind of leech off your build. All these items they just kind of leech off your build, and that's only possible when your build's already good enough to win. And there's better choices normally to make it even better than these kind of leeching items. Um, this is a pinata. I almost want to put in bad tier. It has a funny sound. I do think it's a bad tier. It's just an item. You just burn your money when you buy it. It's useful. Like I don't know where to put it because it does have a use, but it's a bad use. These items are like unusable. This has a I don't know. I'll put it in the bottom of eco. It's just you get no value, and the chocolates or whatever. And HP doesn't matter that much in this game. It matters more this patch than previous patches, but yeah, you have to go faster here. Ganjo, really good value. Carries you early on. Almost want to put it in core tier because if you find it early on, I am going to put it in core tier. It does get you to 7 wins. You have a Ganjo and you have bandages, or you have spiky shield, or you have any or flail or anything that kind of uses scaling pretty well. It works so well. Um, and there's not that much else going on in the game right now. Things are pretty balanced, so I think Ganjo's great. Maybe gets you to 6 wins, maybe not quite 7, but definitely carries you early on. And that's more than most of these items can do. Go ahead and put Bob in bad because he's disabled. Okay, that's not what I meant by that. But he's not in the game. They didn't re-enable him this patch. Like they didn't rework these items. They kind of just destroyed them and then left them in. Bob, they didn't even bother like nerfing him in the ground. They just disabled him this time. So I don't know which one I prefer. Them ruining my item or them just disabling it. I'm not sure. I'll go ahead and put 10 in meh tier. It's a really interesting effect. And it can be super good sometimes when you have healing enchantments on items that normally don't have it. But with this item being able to give multicast to Yo-Yo, which was the main case you'd use it for, because Yo-Yo's a toy, it's pretty good. I'm going to put it under ATM. When this item is used, this item is kind of like a... You use it to give multicast to marbles and Yo-Yo, and that's it. It has no other uses that I've found so far. Oh, and in this booby trap item. So it's good. It serves its purpose when there's a toy that you're using and you have this. It's good. Maybe it's not good enough for late game, but it's not met here. I don't think. I don't know. I like it personally, so I'm just gonna put it up here. Easy reasoning. Pickles is like this item is only used to generate tokens sometimes for silk. That's like that's your purpose in life. That's my purpose to make items that cost 0 to sell after every fight. Awesome. Um Yeah, I do buy it, but it's bottom of Matchbox. When you get it to work, it's good value. I think Marbles is significantly better than Matchbox. So put them like this. Slow is super good against crook builds, and it's okay against Vanessa ammo stuff, but not super good. It's just this item. I think slow is better than burn. I mean, they were super similar. There's more synergy of slow currently in Pygmalion's kit than burn, but it's tough. I don't. I almost want to put them. I mean, they're there. They won't carry you anymore, but you can try and make them work. It's so much effort to make these work. On most runs, oh man, I've made a loop work. I've made loops work a couple of times now in this patch and last patch, but it feels like I got super lucky when I did, so I can't quite say. I'll put this like this for now, though. This bees are a meme, honestly. Hat is pretty good value. I'd say somewhere up here. The multicast works pretty well with Matchbox, and it's a scaling item. All scaling items, I think, even weight should be. I don't know. It's significantly better than weights, though. This, put in almost never use it. Gets down to 2 seconds. You have 2 large items. It's okay for a crane build. That's about it. That's a. I've seen like I've gotten this item as icy, which is the best enchantment in the game, arguably, and I still don't use it for long. I use it for a bit and I sell it. I don't know, not super good. This item is it's okay. It's definitely meh. It's better than tent. It's better than balcony. It's around. The order on these, okay. The order on this is terrible. I'm not gonna order this though. Oh, my recording ran out of space? No, I'm gonna run out of space in a second. It's okay to beat poison builds. Because it's only good when you have a lot of shield. It's good with Gonjo for double scaling, and that's about it. Good. The properties, freeze property is